It's what day is it? Tuesday. So I've actually just put the vlog out for last week, and I wasn't intending to do any filming, but I've just seen that a lot of the Borlottis are just ready to be picked. And with Borlotti beans, you've got to be careful because you want them to dry out as much as you can. I mean, obviously if we have really wet weather at this time of year, then they're not going to dry out very well on the plants. But if you, sorry, mum is mowing, that's what that sound is, you can hear. But if you let them dry out on the plant, which is what you want to do, you want to catch them at the right moment, because otherwise they just open up and drop all your Borlotti beans on the floor. So I thought I'd better do it now, and it's a magnificent evening. I've just been up here talking to the chickens, and yeah, basically just sitting about having a nice time, but I've just seen that they need doing, so I'm going to do it. Hence I got the camera out, because it'd be a shame to miss picking the first Borlotti beans. There's also a couple of the Greek Gigantese that are ready to come off, but there's not quite as many of them. But still, what a beautiful evening. Okay, need a trusty paper bag from our new paper bag collecting system, which is pretty nice. Try and open this one-handed. Not so easy. But yeah, the light up here this evening is stunning. It's so beautiful. We get quite a lot of shade in the late afternoon here, but then we get this like shaft of sun that just moves across the allotment, and at the moment, look at the Borlotti bean arch. It's glowing. And these beans are just beautiful. They are so lovely. And this is what I'm looking for. So you see how this one is dry and it's got a really papery feel to it, like it's yeah, it's just completely dry basically, as opposed to these lovely ones. So I'm just going to get going and pick as many of the dry ones of these off as I can. Morning. It's not looking too sunny, but it's pretty bright and it's not raining, so that's pretty good. And the postman came this morning with a present for me, which is very exciting. And it's got Shropshire seaweed written on the front of it, which is even more exciting. As I don't know if you remember, I've been feeding, because I moved my comfrey this year and it hasn't been like really massively robust. So I've been making some comfrey feed, but not in enough quantities to feed everything with it. And right at the beginning of the year, Shropshire Seaweed sent me a bottle of seaweed just for, you know, for free to try it out. And I was well impressed with it. And what I also really like about it is that they've got a refill centre really not that far away from me. It's just up in Teddington. So I've been using that and refilling that and using it in conjunction with my own comfrey feed, and it's worked really well. And anyway, I got a message from them a couple of weeks ago or whatever saying, can you just confirm your address, which is always exciting because you know something's coming in the post for you. And I love post, so that's really exciting. So anyway, I've got this box which I suspect is going to have some feed in it, which is very exciting, so I'm just going to have a look. Yes, I'll take that up with me this morning. It's also a degreaser. I didn't know you could use seaweed for degreasing your oven, but okay. I hope they haven't seen my oven in the videos and been like, she needs a degreaser. But I tell you what I am really excited about in this box, because you know how much I love a hat. I love a hat. Well, have a look at this. A hat! And it's a really good hat as well. It's warm. It's got like, you know, like fleecy lining on the inside. Ooh. It's got a bobble. Ooh. Actually, getting a hat on has made me realise that it's not so bad at going into autumn. It's just not that bad. It'll be all right. Anyway, I'm going to pack this stuff back up, take this up with me and go up to the allotment, and we will crack on, because we've got a lot to do today. Well, we made it. We've got a real problem with animals digging at the moment. So when you come into the allotment, let me show you. We've just got holes everywhere. Like when it's in the pathways like this, I really don't mind. It's just grass. I mean, I'm not, even though I spend a long time mowing, I'm not actually that precious about the grass. But they've started really going for inside the beds now as well, which isn't great. I mean, look around the bottom of the apricot tree. These are all like bulbs and stuff. They've just been scoffed, basically dug out and scoffed. Not so great, but this is what's really upsetting. So a bit more grass, but then inside the bed, they've actually just turfed out loads of my brassicas. Look, they're just lying on their sides. And around the other side, like all those chaps are just basically lying on the surface. You see, they're not even like, yeah, they've just been ripped out. Look at that. Not fantastic. Not fantastic at all, chaps. That is so frustrating. I guess it's decided my first job of the day though, replant the things. They've been in here too. This is the other end of the plot. They've been all inside there, like looking for worms and uprooting my squash. And this, the mustard greens, just been completely like turfed out of its spot basically. This is a huge hole, this one. And along this edge here, believe it or not, we did have some dill. There's one left. Just one. Oh, no, yeah, just one. We'll try and get these ones back in. At least these have got a bit of root on them. They've, you know, they might survive. Not convinced about the brassicas, to be honest. So it's badgers doing this. I know foxes do also dig up grass and things like that, but we've had this for years. We know it's the badgers. We've got a big protected badger set on the north corner of our site. Obviously, badgers in general are protected species, so not that I want to harm a badger anyway, but I can't do anything like that about it. So it's a case of deterring them. And there's a couple of ways. So they've got an amazing sense of smell, badgers. So I think there's a couple of options to try. It's like citronella, I think, is supposed to deter them, spraying around the outside. The scent of predators isn't meant to be great fun for them. So you can buy things like lion scat to put around. Do I want lion scat on my allotment? I'm not entirely sure. Also, human male urine is meant to be a good one. Again, don't know if I'm that keen on that. There's some other options. If anybody's got any ideas, let me know underneath. Obviously not harming anything else, and just kind of trying to deter them, really. We've got a couple of holes in our little fence that go around the outside of the plot, so we're going to block them and just see if that kind of interrupts their pathways that they're taking. But yeah, basically badgers. I'm not worried about the chickens. We've had badgers on this site like the whole time that we've been here, and they've been here a lot longer than we have, and the chicken house is now completely secure, so I'm not worried about that. But this new thing of going through the beds and just uprooting everything is a bit frustrating. So yeah, we're going to be trying to tackle that as an issue in the coming weeks. Well, I think about half of them are missing their roots completely, so chances of survival is pretty slim. But it's really frustrating. I just don't know how we can stop them. Anyway, on a brighter note, let's just step into the Shady Ted and swap this over. So this is my latest refill, and it is nearly empty, so this was excellent timing from Shropshire. stick that one up there. And because I'm so organised now, I have to just shuffle all this over and stick that one in. Marvellous. Thank you very much, Shropshire Seaweed. So Mum is cutting up some of the fallen apples from our apple tree, and the girls are loving them. So, lucky girlies. Lucky girlies. Okay, next job for the day. So this bed that we're just taking the netting off is where we have the new carrots sown. And where the old carrots are, which is where the EnviroMesh box currently is, we're going to transfer that onto the new bed. It's not ideal, it's too big, but at least it covers it temporarily. And then I'm going to strip out the bed because I want to get some green manure planted into this bed. So just going to plonk it straight over the top. It's obviously way too big. I'm going to make one which fits directly over this, but for the time being, it's going to do the job just as well. Lovely. The carrots have come up really well, actually. And this is the bed that I am stripping out today. So that's what I'm going to do next, is clear that bed. So we're just going to take out the little carrots that are in there and the last straggly bits of beetroot. They're both going to come out. I'm going to leave the tree cabbages in the end, of course. Then, yeah, I'm going to sow some green manure into it. Well, for a considered failed harvest, that's actually quite a lot of carrots, isn't it? There's a couple of right rotty ones in there, look like this. There's a couple of disaster cases. Oh look, there's a slug inside that one. I don't know if you can see him. Charming. But yeah, overall, I mean, there are some pretty good sized ones in there. So I will take all of these home and kind of process them and see what's what. Probably freeze some and just eat the rest. A lot of them are like even a bit small to be called baby carrots, so I'll probably just roast them whole. But yeah, not unhappy with that. I've also got some beetroot to take out at the end of this bed. I'm only taking the red out, not the yellow, but the red, most of these are just fine. They're quite a good size, actually. You got some decent ones in there. Some of them are a bit small, but I'm quite happy with them. These were a mix of Detroit Rubridus 6 and Crimson Globe. Yeah, nice. So I'll stick them in with the carrots. That is not bad. Not bad. Like I said, I'm going to leave the yellow ones in there because they were really slow to get started because they kept getting pecked off by the chickens. So I'm just going to leave them to get on with what they're doing and then tidy the rest of this up and sow some Phacelia into it. Phacelia is a green manure that just adds a bit of bulk. Part of the reason that we're clearing this is those carrots haven't been successful. The ground was too stony and it just basically wasn't a great success. So we've cleared them, we've got what we can out of the bed. And the Phacelia is going to be really good because it will add a load of bulk matter into this. It will also suppress the weeds. And once we've grown that and it's come up and we've cut it down, we will then put a mulch over the top of that and let it all rot down over winter. And it will be good to go in the spring. I'm going to direct sow the Phacelia straight into this. Obviously it's a green manure. I'm not going to faff around with sowing it into trays or anything. So I'm just raking this to a fine tilt and I'll throw it down on top of that. So I've actually forgotten the Phacelia seed to go in the bed at the back there. So yeah, I can't be doing that right now. We're going to go home for lunch and I'll bring it back with me after lunch. So gosh, it's bright in here. Whoo! So just in those few short days of like summer that we had last week, so we had about 3-4 days of really nice sunshine. The Polytunnel has exploded. Like all the things that were doing absolutely nothing have suddenly decided that, oh, now's the time. So we've got quite a lot to do in here, but we do have a bit of blight in the tomatoes in here, which is a real shame. I cut a load of it off about a week ago and they're doing all right. Actually, there's a tiny bit more has appeared on the top of the sun gold. So I'm going to do a load of picking in here, and then I'm going to, the tomatoes which don't have any more tomatoes on and aren't looking so good, I'm just going to take them straight out because I've got loads of stuff in the greenhouse that is waiting to come in here. More basil, more Thai basil, I've got some parsley, bits and pieces like that I want to get in here. So but I'm going to pick these now, and my god, it's bright. I can't see the screen at all. Yeah, so I'm going to just pick what's going on in here and bundle it up, and then we'll head home for lunch, and then I will be back this afternoon. So yeah, look at the difference that little bit of sunshine made. So much has ripened just in those few days. Like all this was green basically before that bit of sunshine, and these are looking all right. I'm going to have to take them off even though they're not all ripe because we've got baddies ahead. So I'm going to take a lot of these off and cut them right down. But I think they've got a good chance of ripening. I'm pretty happy with them. We've got some absolute spectacular Brad's Atomic Grape going on in here. Look at the colours on that beauty. Gorge. And that little star on top is just so sweet. Some more up there. And we got, yeah, just loads. Like when you're kind of foraging around, there's just so much. I mean, obviously nothing like last year, but an awful lot better than it was a month ago. So I am pretty happy. Even got some peppers. This was just totally green. So yeah, just shows you what a little bit of sunshine can do. Even the tiny, tiny aubergine has decided it's going to produce me some tiny aubergines. This is the basil that I picked up at Johanna's Garden Centre, looking gorgeous. These have had no flowers on them for about 6 weeks, all of a sudden absolutely covered. So I'm going to be leaving them in longer than I thought I was, covered in flowers. And the other aubergine, which is the grafted one, that's done absolutely nothing, we've had no flowers at all, suddenly covered in flowers. Got a couple of quite sexy Japanese black trifeli tomatoes up here. These are the biggest we've had this year. They've been quite small, even though we have got some of them. And we've got one other large chap. So I'm going to leave them on and hope that they ripen up and pick the rest of these. So it's looking a little bit sad in here, to be honest, but I'm going to leave these chaps on to ripen up a little bit more. Same goes with this one. I'm hoping that's going to go. Those ones look good. The plant's got no blight showing on it. So yeah, it's a little bit more full on this side. I'm quite optimistic about some of these. There's loads of fruit on this one. Hopefully. Oh, what else might need picking? Let me think. Beans. Endless bean picking at the moment. Beans much? Okay, we are going to head home for lunch. I've got to pick up the Phacelia seed while I'm back there, and also the Borlotti beans and the Greek Gigantese that I picked the other day are ready to be deshelled, so I'll probably do that while I'm at home as well. See you back there. So I'm going to start with the Borlotti beans. These have been just sat in the bag, drying off a little bit more. They've just been in the warm house, so no worries. They're really simple to shell. You just like pop them open like that and scoop them out, a bit like you would with peas. But you've got to be quite careful, like I was saying, that it's a bit of a balancing act about drying them on the plant and picking them off before they go mouldy, because if we're going to have really wet weather, they can just all kind of rot off, and that's incredibly disappointing when you're waiting for them to dry, and then when you finally open them up, they've actually all gone rotten inside, which is really upsetting. But these ones are looking good. How gorgeous are these? This is a variety of Borlotti we haven't grown before, and I'm really impressed with it. We'll definitely be doing it again next year. You can let the pods dry on the plant. Like I said, if we're going to have a lot of hot weather, they'll dry absolutely perfectly on the plant, but you've got to pick them off before they actually split open naturally on the plant. But if we're going to have some pants weather, it's just better to take them off and dry them at home. You don't have to dry them. In fact, you can eat them fresh. They're delicious fresh. You can have them semi-dried, where you just cook them straight like this. They don't need soaking or anything. But I'm going to freeze mine for storage over the winter, and we'll use them throughout the year. The reason I store them is because when we first started growing beans for drying, for use later, we had a terrible problem putting them in, jars, kilner jars or whatever, and we'd go back to them a couple of months later and they would be completely riddled with holes and eaten out by weevils or bean weevils or whatever it was that was eating them, and it was really upsetting. So with both these Borlottis and these Greek Gigantes that I'm about to do exactly the same with, I'm just going to bag them up and put them straight in the freezer. We're not short on freezer space really, and they're just perfect that way. You don't get any problems with bean weevils. Aren't these gorgeous? Look how lovely these beans are. Greek Gigantes are just a form of runner bean, but they're a white beaned runner bean, and they have really massive pods with these huge gorgeous beans in them. So I'm going to do exactly the same, just shell them. This is only the first wave. I'll probably do this in just every week or every couple of days, in fact, picking some more, and I will add them to the same bags. Both of these beans are fantastic in stews or chili con carne type scenarios or soups. The Greek Gigantese swell up massively, like they are kidney sized when they're cooked. So beware of those. Aren't they absolutely lovely? So they're just going to freeze exactly like this. I'm going to put them into these little bags. I label them so we know what year they come from, but that became really handy when last year we didn't have a very good bean harvest at all, but the year before had been amazing. So we've still been eating the 2019 beans into 2020, and we can get them in order, you know, so we're not eating the freshest ones first and forgetting about the older ones. So these are just, I'm not doing anything to them. They're just going straight in the bag and they will go straight in the freezer. I'll add to these bags. I won't do separate bags for every picking I do. I'll just keep adding to these ones. That'll be absolutely fine. And then when we go to use them, we do still soak them. So if you're using them fresh, you don't need to soak them. But if you're drying them out thoroughly, you do. We still soak them. And these are actually ones from last year, the last of the ones from last year, what I'm going to do for dinner tonight. So I've had these soaking for, well, since yesterday afternoon. So about 24 hours. And I'll be using them tonight. It's quite a lovely bit of allotment poetry, that, to be shelling the first ones of this year's on the same day that I'm using the last of last year's ones. Okay, before we go, I must grab the Phacelia. So I've got a few little bits of kind of odd half-used packets of green manure in here. This is the Phacelia. That's the one I'm going to take with me. This one actually... should I take another one up there? I could take that one. That's just a mix. Yeah, I'll take that one too. Okay, see you back up the road. We are lunched and we are back. So we've got the Phacelia. I'm just going to put that straight in, direct sown, straight into the bed where I cleared the carrots and the beetroot out from this morning. I'm going to be doing quite a lot of green manures this year, and I will do a video specifically on it, but I want to wait until I've got the space to put the... Sorry, the wind's blowing now. I don't want to do the whole video on the green manure until I'm going to be putting the field beans in, because that's the main one I'm using. So this will be recovered in the green manure episode that I do, but yeah, today just this one's going in. And I'm also going to sow some of the chimney wrapper in the, you know, the bed just here that I cleared this morning as well. I'm going to sow the chimney wrapper in the other half of that. That's going to be the really short one. So I planted the 120 day in the other side. That's the one that's just coming up, that got dug up this morning, but I've rescued most of them, I think. And I'm going to be putting the shorter term one in there, so hopefully we'll get some good staggered harvest. I'm going to water this before I sow the seed straight onto this soil, because the soil is really dry, and if I sow the seed straight on top of it and then water it, it will wash all the seed into puddles and I won't get an even spread. I'm also going to rough up the soil again after I've watered it, just to make the surface a little less smooth so that the seed has got something to kind of fall into. And then I will give it a bit of a rough over again with the rake, being quite careful not to kind of rake all the seed into one area of the bed. I'm going to sow the chimney wrapper. Where is it? There it is. Lovely. That is going to go straight into the space that I've just taken the old stuff out of, where Mum is currently just trying to smooth out the ground a bit. Okay, so we got something quite exciting. So our corn isn't ready yet, but it also hasn't been a raging success this year, and I suspect it's not going to be a raging success. But our neighbours, like 3-4 allotments up that way, they can't fail with corn. They could grow it commercially. They just grow amazing corn every year, and they've given us that have gone slightly over, and the girls are going to get it. Now, we've never tried the girls on like proper sweet corn before, so they're watching me. I think they know something exciting is about to happen. Are you ready, girlies? Are you ready? I've got something well exciting for you. I have. Come on. Right, girlies, what's this? I think we found something successful. Okie dokie, so do you remember I did a bit of sowing, must have been about 2 weeks ago now, maybe a week. It was red pak choi, green pak choi, rocket, turnips, that kind of thing. These are all going to be in either the covered bed or the polytunnel. There's also pink mizuna, that sort of thing. But I've got some stuff that's ready to go into the space I've cleared in the polytunnel already. That includes this parsley. There is some Thai basil here that's ready to go in. And I've also got some Genovese basil, which is at the back here. So I'm going to put these in around the things that are staying in the polytunnel. Last year I waited until I'd cleared really like most of it out before I started planting in, and that was just too late. So this year I'm going to be planting in and around what's there and see if that works any better. So parsley, welcome to your new home. There we go. Thai basil and normal basil. It's things like these that are going to be staying in here for a while. I don't know how successful they're going to be. These flowers might do absolutely nothing. Look at those, you've got some good fruit on there. But these might do absolutely nothing, but they might just produce some more. So there's no point taking them out if I don't need to. So I'm going to plant my herbs in and amongst these, and then as the pak choi and the turnips and that kind of come good, I'll be putting them into this space as well. And because I'm not digging these plants out, when I remove what's been growing in here over summer, I will just be chopping it off at the base. I won't be removing the root ball. It means that I can plant really quite close up to the stalks of what's already in here, knowing that I'm not going to be disturbing what I'm planting later on. Okay, so that is those chaps in. Something else I'm going to put in today are these, which is the red-stemmed chicory. We grew the green-stemmed chicory last year. We're growing that again this year as well, but we're trying this red-stemmed one, and these guys have come on leaps and bounds. They look fantastic. So I'm going to put, what, maybe 5 in a row, do you think? Could probably get away with 5 in there. Yep. So I will take them in with me. You look like a nice chap. Look at that. 5 beauties. Turns out I can only fit 4 in a row with the pepper in the way because the spacing is not my own choice. But yeah, 4 will do, and I'll just do another row of them a bit later on. I'm not sure about the timing of these. We grew chicory in the covered bed last year. We're going to grow some just outside to fend for themselves. We're going to grow some in the poly and some in the covered bed. And the ones we grew last year, we planted out quite a lot later than this. So not sure how it's going to work out, but we will find out. I've also only planted about half of these herbs in here because the rest of them are going to go into the covered bed. There you go, back with your friends. Ah, now that looks like we've got an imposter in there. That is not a chicory, that is a lettuce. So these are some other things that I'm going to be planting in a mixture of outdoors, covered areas, covered beds, polytunnels, that kind of thing. It is chard and green chicory. Well, talking of parsley, I've got to go and pick some parsley, and we got a couple of really good looking, oh, it's a booby trap rake on the floor there. Nice. Walking and talking isn't really my speciality, so I'm going to look ahead. But we've got some pretty good parsley up here that needs picking, so, well, it doesn't need picking, but I need to eat it. So I'm going to pick some of that. Yeah, have a look. These ones are the ones that I planted out individually, and they look really big. Please ignore the fact that I still haven't done anything with these frames. The plans are in place, the plans are in place. Look how nice this is. Really, really lush. This is Lisette. Gorgeous parsley. And I've also got a rogue flat leaf one in here. But I planted these parsleys out right at the beginning of the year when we sowed the peas, the first lot of peas. So they've been in here quite a while. But I'm going to chop this into the Greek Gigantese stew that I'm making tonight. That's just with a load of the tomatoes we picked earlier. All the split ones are going to go in. This parsley, beans, yum. Right, well, on that note, boys and girls, I think it is time to head home. I do. I will see you back there with a glass of wine, I think. Oh, cheers. So we got loads done today, which was a bit of a surprise. I always think that there's going to be like a quiet time, you know. You think midsummer's normally quite quiet on the allotment, or midwinter. Never is, never is. And it feels like we've just come straight flying out of really busy stuff at the allotment straight into extra busy stuff at the allotment. Because we're gearing up for autumn and also what we're going to have over winter. So yeah, it's just masses to do always, isn't there? It's just a never-ending game. So the other thing, badgers. If anybody's got any ideas or anything that's worked with the badgers, so they tend to go for carrots, beetroot, sweet corn, that kind of thing. They just rip the whole lot out, and bulbs. Everybody on every allotment site, or in even any garden, anything like that, everybody's got the things that they deal with, be it rabbits or moles or badgers in my case. And now that I know the chicken house is secure, I am, you know, I'm pretty happy about that. I don't have to worry about that. But we do want to dissuade them from coming onto the allotment, because at the moment they're not actually taking any harvest. What they're doing is just furrowing around like you saw, and they're just ruining things and ripping things out of the ground that, you know, I would rather stay in the ground. So we're going to try a couple of things. I'd be interested to know if that lion scat has worked for anybody, kind of deterring anything from their garden, because I've tried it before for cats and they really couldn't care less whether a lion had pooed in the garden or not. They are not bothered. So, but I wonder, maybe badgers would be more, maybe they would take more notice of it, I don't know. So basically, if anybody's got any ideas or tried and tested methods, anybody else had to deal with badgers being a pain, please let me know beneath. That would be really useful, because I think we're going to have to try a couple of things because it's becoming problematic. I'm going on and on and on again. I'm going to try and keep this really short because this is a long video this week. Basically, how amazing is it, what a difference those couple of days of sunshine made to what was going on in the polytunnel. Everything has just suddenly gone whoosh It's happened in the greenhouse as well and outside, but in the greenhouse, suddenly the melons that have produced nothing all year are covered in baby melons. It's pretty annoying because I don't think they're going to have time to do anything, but you know, all we can do is cross our fingers. The other thing is the 3 butternut squash plants that we've got have had no butternut squashes on them at all so far this year. Not a thing. All of a sudden, they're covered in them. So all the other ones have been fine. We've been growing the mashed potato squash and Marina de Choggia and something or other, and the crown prince. All of them have been fine. They've been producing fruit. Like the crown prince, we've got a good like 6 or so fruits on there, which are kind of this big now, going really well. Butternut squash, nada. So now it's having a go. Who knows? If we get some more beautiful weather, it's a possibility. I think I might be being a bit too optimistic there. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm guessing that everybody else has seen a bit of a burst of ripening or fruit making. I put a picture of my little baby melons on Instagram and I had loads of comments from people saying like, yep, same thing's happened. Nothing all year, and then all of a sudden everything's producing things. So, you know, what can you do? Anyway, so I'm not sure what Thursday's video is going to be. I think it's going to be a plot tour, but it depends on the weather because plot tours in the rain is not much fun, and we're forecast rain all next week, so I might have to kind of substitute something else in there and do the plot tour the week after. Okie dokie, right, this I was going to be really quick here. So I've talked about beans, carrots, everything under the sun. There's some guys taking down some scaffolding right behind the window behind you, so sorry if there's a load of racket going on, but basically I'll say cheers. Don't know what's happening on Thursday, but I'll see you again for another vlog on Tuesday. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope all of this terrible rain is with you if you want rain, or you've got gorgeous sunshine if you're after the sunshine, but regardless, cheers chaps. I will see you next week. Cheers.